Let's talk about the term hotwife. You've probably heard it. It's actually one of the most searched for terms when it comes to alternative relationships. But here's the thing. While the internet is absolutely flooded with fantasies and perspectives that are, let's be honest, mostly for men, almost no one is talking about what the woman in this scenario is actually going through. So we're going to pull back the curtain and explore what her inner world really looks like.
So that's exactly what we're going to do in this explainer. We're moving past all the surface level stuff. We are going to dive deep into the complex and, yeah, often contradictory emotional world of the women who choose this lifestyle, based on what they themselves have to say about it. And right off the bat, you can see this huge disconnect. The fantasy you see online, it's pretty simple. It's sexual, and it's almost always centered on the man's experience. But for the woman, the reality is something else entirely. It's a deeply psychological journey. It's about her agency, her transformation. It's so much less about a single act and way more about a profound personal evolution. So where does a journey like this even begin? Well, for a lot of women, the idea is first brought up by their husband, usually inside a pretty stable, long-term monogamous relationship. And that initial reaction, let me tell you, it is not what the fantasies would have you believe. This is the kind of raw, immediate thought that kicks in for so many women. It's just this cascade of insecurity and confusion. I mean, think about it. The proposal doesn't just challenge a relationship rule, it rocks their entire understanding of what security and their place in the relationship even means. But here's where things get really fascinating. Something happens after that initial shock and resistance. A lot of women don't just shut the whole conversation down. Instead, they start doing their own research. They find online communities. They start reading testimonials from other women. And this pivotal, powerful sense of curiosity starts to bubble up. And this is the crucial turning point. This is where the whole perspective just flips. Through her own research and reflection, the idea stops being a threat. It's no longer seen as some comment on her shortcomings. Instead, it gets reframed into this powerful affirmation, like, wow, I am so desirable that my partner wants to see my sexuality celebrated. Okay, but getting past that first hurdle, that's really just the beginning. The next stage of this journey is this incredibly complex navigation of really powerful, often contradictory emotions. It can seriously feel like walking on an emotional tightrope. And this is where that internal tug of war really starts. On one side, you have this incredible surge of empowerment. We're talking new confidence, a sense of sexual agency, total liberation. But on the other side, you've got a lifetime of societal conditioning pushing back, and that brings up feelings of guilt, shame, and a very, very real fear of being judged. Now, this is a really key takeaway. The empowerment we're talking about, it isn't just about sex. Women who go through this consistently report that the confidence they gain from truly owning their sexuality starts to spill over into every other part of their lives. They become more assertive at work. They get better at setting personal boundaries. They just generally move through the world differently. Now we get to one of the most counterintuitive parts of this whole thing. And that's how this lifestyle, which from the outside looks like it would threaten a relationship, can paradoxically end up making it even stronger. And it all really hinges on this one really profound question. The answer is at the very heart of making this dynamic work. It brings up a psychological concept that is absolutely essential for a couple to thrive here. And it's an emotion that runs completely contrary to everything we're taught we're supposed to feel. And that term is compersion. The easiest way to think about it is it's the opposite of jealousy. It's that genuine feeling of happiness you get from seeing your partner happy. And while you hear it talked about from the man's side a lot, women report feeling it intensely for their partners too. It creates this amazing feedback loop of shared excitement and fulfillment. So how does this strengthening actually happen? Well, it all has to be built on a foundation of what you could call radical trust. It requires a level of deep, brutally honest communication that, frankly, a lot of couples never get to. This whole process reinforces the idea that you are actively choosing your partner every single day, not just staying together out of habit. And, that can reignite an incredible amount of passion.
And all of these pieces, the curiosity, the empowerment, the communication, they all build toward this final and maybe the most profound stage of the journey, a fundamental redefinition of her own identity.
This is a massive question that many of these women start to grapple with as they start shedding all these layers of social conditioning and discovering desires they never even knew they had. It can spark a pretty disorienting, but ultimately a really transformative identity crisis. They are quite literally becoming someone new.
And this new identity, it has real, tangible benefits. You can see it here. Women consistently report huge boosts in confidence. And not just with their sexual self-image, but also in their professional lives, being more assertive, and in their ability to set firm personal boundaries across the board.
What it all boils down to is this. The ultimate psychological shift is moving from a place of seeking validation for her desires to a place of simply asserting them as valid. Full stop. It's a complete and total reclaiming of her own power. And this quote from one woman in the lifestyle, it just says it all. It perfectly summarizes the reframing that has to happen. It's a direct rejection of that old narrative that says a woman's value is tied to being sexually exclusive. Here, her value is actually expanded by her experiences.
So in the end, when you peel back all the layers of fantasy and stigma, what are you left with? It's not really a story about sex at all. It's a complex and deeply personal exploration of authenticity, of personal growth, and of self-discovery, one that really defies any simple labels like good or bad.
And that kind of leaves us with one last big question to think about. In a world where relationships are constantly evolving, maybe the ultimate freedom isn't about following one specific model, but about having the autonomy to choose your own definition of what commitment truly means to you.